Do you mind if we get into your injury and recovery a little here?
Not at all. Not at all.
Okay.
Hey, guys, this is Tim Mayza with the Toronto Blue Jays, and you're listening to the Walk-Off Podcast with Scott Belford and Adam Mack.
So excited for today's guest, pitcher for the Toronto Blue Jays, Tim Mayza. Welcome to the Walk-Off, my man. Thanks so much for joining us.
It's the Walk-Off with Scott Belford and Adam Mack.
This ball is crushed.
Do you mind if we get into your injury and recovery a little here?
Not at all. Not at all.
Okay, because I know from a fan standpoint, when it comes to Tommy John surgery, it is so prevalent in baseball these days that it almost becomes, in a sense, commonplace and just a thing that you kind of look at, like, from a fan standpoint, like, oh, no big deal, but it is a huge deal. So let's kind of go back over this. September 13th, 2019, you're pitching against the Yankees, extra innings, and I remember watching this game. I remember that pitch to Didi Gregorius where you stepped off the mound and you felt something. Was it that instant? Was it that pitch? Or were you kind of feeling some stuff up to that, and that was the straw that broke the camel's back? Like, how did that whole thing play out?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think it was that one pitch that kind of just tore everything open and kind of caused the injury. Was that one pitch? But I went on the IL earlier that year and didn't have any setbacks coming back from that. I went on the IL for 10 days with a little nerve problems in my elbow. But after the 10 days, I was good to go. And it was intriguing. Like, I'd say a week before I was throwing, the hardest I'd thrown that year. Like, actually saw kind of a spike in velo entering that week. And then just that pitch, just felt it almost as soon as I released it. And the only way I can kind of explain it is like a burning sensation, like up my arm, like almost like my arm was on fire.
And you'd never felt anything like that, I'm guessing, eh?
No, never. But just kind of staying optimistic throughout that process. Cause if it's something you hadn't felt before, you don't know how serious it is or anything like that. I just knew that it was probably something pretty serious, but not, until you get imaging and stuff like that, you don't know what exactly happened to your arm at that moment. But then a few hours later after the MRI, just clarified that I was going to need Tommy John surgery. And then, the day after that, it wasn't just, hey, you tore your UCL, but also the flexor tore as well. So a little bit more complicated of a surgery and of a recovery. That's why I think it was kind of longer than your standard Tommy John, that you would see a little bit longer recovery process just due to the flexor tearing with the UCL.
So from the time that they gave you your MRI and were like, okay, you need Tommy John, how long did you need to wait before you were under the knife?
So the injury happened Friday night. And then I want to say it was Wednesday or Thursday.
Oh, wow. So it was a quick turnover, eh?
Yeah, it was definitely less than a week.
Wow.
From the time that the injury was confirmed to the time that I was actually in the OR.
Now, the term Tommy John, everyone hears it and not everyone knows exactly what it is. And I'm no expert, but it's the ligament in one elbow goes and then they take some ligament from your other elbow, right? And put it in there.
So there's two areas that I think are pretty common where they take the ligament from. I think one is your leg. I want to say,
right.
Your hamstring area. I'm not the, medical professional, but I know for my case, they took it from my left wrist. They took a ligament from my left wrist and then put it in my elbow.
Do you have a sweet scar from
that? And that's part
surgery?
of the reason. Sorry, yeah.
The wrist one is little, but I have a scar on my elbow. Yeah,
I've seen a few people that get Tommy John get like baseball stitches on it. That's pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
How big is your
scar?
scar?
I don't have any. How
big is your scar? Can we have a look at it or?
Yeah.
Oh
so
yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't have any. I won't be getting any tattoos on it.
Do you have any tattoos?
It's just not
a tattoo guy.
No. Haven't really gotten that urge to get one.
Fair enough.
My wife has a few, but I don't. So.
I'm in the same boat. We're the rarities now. Tattoos used to be the
Yeah.
rarity, and now if you don't have them, you're in the minority.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm curious, Tim, how long after surgery did it take for you to start working out again, start throwing?
So throwing was 8 months.
So it was a full 8 months. Wow. Before, and
Yeah.
that's before you could even start building strength back up.
No. So I probably would say I was doing some mobility stuff. I actually, like the day after surgery, I was doing some light mobility stuff with my wrist, and kind of just moving my wrist around. But I was in a brace, for probably about, oh man, what was it? Probably at least a month, if not more. And then, I was immobile for maybe 3 weeks, and then you're slowly opening the brace up a little bit to be able to move your arm a little bit more at a time, but still restricting how far you can go in that brace. And then 2 months in the brace, and then the brace came off, and I had full range of motion. And then from then, it was just a matter of building that strength back up over the next 4 months or so. 4 or 5 months into throwing at that 8 month mark.
So once you finished up your surgery and you're kind of at the point where you're ready to physically train again, was it the Blue Jays doctors that kind of set out a rehab routine for you, or was that kind of on you a little bit? Like, were you getting a hold of other guys who had Tommy John? How did that whole process play out for you?
Yeah. So, for me, the most nervous I was to go under, was to get the surgery. I knew kind of coming out of the surgery that, I was going to continue to work hard. I was going to build up strength, and I was going to do everything in my power to come back, the same, if not better than I was pre-surgery. But there was constant communication between me with the Blue Jays, and with, the physical therapists, the medical team, the trainers, and then the strength and conditioning side as well, to kind of formulate a plan moving forward after surgery. But I was doing all that from home, where I was going to a PT from home who was in contact with the Jays as well, and kind of making sure that we stayed on the plan, and go from there. But I was making some visits to Florida to meet with, the trainers and the medical and strength conditioning staff as well. I probably went, maybe I would say like once a month for that first little bit until spring. And then spring happened, and I was in spring training for maybe 2 weeks, expecting to be there in Florida for the whole season, and do all my rehab out of there.
Right.
When kind of everything shut down, they sent everybody home, and I was, on my way home, I stopped at a Dick's Sporting Goods and called the strength coach and was like, "Hey, what do I need to get through, the next month? That way there's no like hiccups or delays in my return back." So picked up some weights and some kettlebells and some bands and anything I needed, and didn't expect to be home as long as we were.
That's the funny thing. Hey, what do I need to get through the next month? Remember when we all thought this was going to be over in a month?
Yeah. And then, you look back, and, I was home, I went to see the doctor in June or July. And then after that, I was back in Florida. I wasn't back in Florida until November. But yeah, I mean, crazy to think, I was on my way home like, hey, yeah, what do I need for the next month? Not knowing I'd be home for the next, 5-6 months.
Yeah.
But I'd say I was probably one of the fortunate ones. I worked out from home for a month or two, just out of my basement, and doing all my rehab stuff from there. And as we got closer to throwing, I was able to find, PTs. They were considered essential in Pennsylvania. So I was able to find a PT to work with. And then once, my throwing started, I was kind of fortunate where Pennsylvania was open a little bit more, where I was able to find, a high school field to start my throwing program on, and, progressed into a facility where I was able to do my throwing. So throughout the course of the pandemic, I would say I was one of the fortunate ones who had all these resources to continue to progress within the rehab.
How difficult was watching that 2020 Jays season for you? Because I know we talked to Anthony Telford. He's a former Montreal Expo, and he's actually Nate Pearson's offseason pitching coach. And he talked about his shoulder recovery that he went through back in, I think it was 98. And he said one of the hardest things about a long-term injury is that you just feel so disconnected from the team. There isn't really that camaraderie that you kind of come to know and love, and that's been a part of team sports forever, right? Did you have a sort of like a go-between guy for you and the team, like a bud in the bullpen or something like that kind of kept you apprised as to what was going on? How did you deal with those feelings?
Yeah, I would talk to various guys on the team, Ryan Barucki, Dan Jansen, Jordan Romano, and those kind of are guys who kind of kept me in touch with the game, or with the team at least. I would say there was a big disconnect not being in Florida from just the game in general. Didn't really watch much baseball. The Jays weren't on the local TV in Pennsylvania. I was fortunate where they were when they played the Phillies. I was able to watch them. But for the most part, kind of was disconnected from just the game in general, which, looking back, I don't know if it was a good thing or, a bad thing. I think it was probably a good thing to kind of take a step back throughout rehab and almost reset and recharge and not think so much about the game, but continue to take each day with what it had and what my goal was for each day, and not think too much long term. I think if I was watching baseball every day, I would constantly have the itch like, okay, we got to get back sooner. We got to get back sooner. We got to get back sooner, instead of really focusing on each day and what can I do to just improve and progress, just the smallest amount each day of that rehab.
That's interesting that you kind of had to compartmentalize each step. Otherwise you're almost torturing yourself, right?
Yeah. But I mean, it was fun to watch them when they played the Phillies, and it was fun to watch them in the playoffs. It was definitely an exciting team, and still is an exciting team to watch.
Yeah, aren't they? As a Jays fan, we're all pretty into it this year. The boys look good.
Yeah. Still early, but we're
still
on the
early.
right track.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a good start. So you come all the way back from Tommy John surgery, and you enter spring training this year as a guy that maybe isn't at the forefront of the front office's mind when it comes to a spot in the bullpen, but you want a spot outright. What was your mindset when you reported to camp? Obviously this was your goal all along, but how did you go about your business to make it happen?
Yeah, I showed up to camp mid to late January, knowing that I had a few more steps to take to finalize my rehab and to get a return back to play complete. Just some bullpens. I had to face some live hitters. I had to do some, simulate 2 innings in those live ABs, and had to simulate a longer inning in the live ABs as well, and so those were some boxes I had to check. And then, the final step was towards the end of spring, either getting a back-to-back, or what we did was pitch day off pitch. And that was kind of that final step and final box that I had to check. But, I was just going into spring, like feeling healthy and wanting to just, make quality pitches, and knew when I got back out there that I just wanted to compete and get after hitters, and you kind of let everything fall where it may. And was fortunate enough to have a good spring, pitch well, and earn a spot on the team. So very exciting stuff. But again, it was very like a simple mindset where, hey, just attack hitters with your best stuff. You have a game plan going out there of what you do well, and do it to the best of your ability.
Control what you can control, sort of thing.
Exactly. That's exactly what it was control the recovery, control when it's your time to throw, going out there and competing.
I can imagine that even now it's still a little surreal. I mean, if you think about the last time you pitched with the Blue Jays, September 2019, it really was a very, very different team. Just personnel-wise, it's changed. Almost at least half the guys are new guys, maybe even more. What is the vibe like in the clubhouse right now, and what has changed from 2019? And even though I know it's early in the year, do you feel like there's a good chemistry within the bullpen?
Yeah. I mean, the chemistry's great. You just in the clubhouse, you just feel a lot of positivity. A lot of hardworking guys who are there to do their job and get the job done. But it's a great feeling in the clubhouse right now. It's very positive, very energetic. Obviously we have a lot of young, exciting players, which brings that energy to the field every day, and yeah, it was great. It's, of course, like you mentioned, 2019 was a completely different team. So it's like, I show up to spring and I'm just introducing myself to everyone all over again,
Yeah. Hi, I'm Tim, one of the longest tenured Blue Jays.
I'm not the new guy. You're the new guy.
Yeah, you're the new guy.
But there's a lot of great guys on the team, and a lot of great people just surrounding the team and personnel, and even the support staff. So it's a really good place to be right now.